Hello there guys, what is going on? Son of Chelsea back here again for another edition of Let's Talk Chelsea. Hope you're all doing well and keeping safe on this Thursday. Today we're going to be talking about N'Golo Kante and some recent transfer news. But before we get into any of that, I want to ask you, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and a notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also hit that like button because it helps out the videos too. But N'Golo Kante, I spoke about him in a lot of detail on Tuesday in a video, sort of going into the N'Golo Kante problem and his future at Chelsea. Link will be in the description box below because going from a brilliant article in The Athletic, we sort of broke down the numbers, the stats, his problems of injury, sort of what is the future for N'Golo Kante at Chelsea. And this article from Goal from N'Golo Kante sort of shines a little bit more light onto that of where the direction could be heading with Kante and Chelsea. Kante reports that Kante is to stay at Chelsea unless he's forced out amid reported Real Madrid and Barcelona interest. Kante has missed 20 of Chelsea's 42 games this season due to a host of injuries to his hamstring, knee and ankle, and concerns over his long-term fitness have seen Mateo Kovacic and Jorginho strike up a good partnership in his absence. Manager Lampard is yet to signal to any of his first-team squad whether or not they will be surplus to requirements in the off-season as he bids to create a competitive training environment until the end of the coronavirus hit campaign. Chelsea have a lot of talent in midfield, and I think letting a player like Kante leave, a talent like Kante leave, is a big mistake and turn out to be a big mistake for Chelsea, especially if Kante goes on to find fitness and peak form once again next season for another club. Chelsea will regret it. We need him at Chelsea. We need to give him at least one more season, as I said in the video the other day, to see if he can get back to that fitness. And if he does, he will become a regular starter for Frank Lampard, no doubt in my mind, because what he can do on a football pitch is unmatched. Whether that is, in a pivot alongside Mateo Kovacic or Jorginho in a 4-2-3-1, or in a more advanced role like we saw him do so well under Maurizio Sarri. Either way, I want to see Kante stay. When we talk about maybe wages or, being the highest paid player, Chelsea can sell other players who have high wages and that can free up space for other signings. If that's the concern and Chelsea don't want to sell, specifically Kante, we've got the likes of Marcos Alonso, we've got the likes of Ross Barkley, you've got the likes of Willian and Pedro who would like to be leaving, who as well will be on decent wages that could free up space for other players to come in. So I don't think selling Kante, if your argument is to sell Kante because it will free up more finances for other players, I think Chelsea can find the money elsewhere personally. I think that isn't going to be an issue for Chelsea. So I don't think that's a good enough reason. Yes, the balance problem is a key issue. It is of concern, especially it's more about what Lampard wants Chelsea's midfield to be. Does he want it to be more of a functional midfield? We've seen what Jurgen Klopp has done at Liverpool. His midfield isn't as creative as maybe our midfield is in terms of what we're trying to do in midfield. But very much Liverpool's sort of midfield is very much tailored towards helping out that front three, one of the best front threes in world football. Is Chelsea's midfield going to be a little bit different to that? Does Lampard want to get more goals in that midfield from a Mason Mount, a Ruben Loftus-Cheek, make it more creative? Because we have got those players in Jorginho and Mateo Kovacic. It's more about what that shape of a midfield is going to be, which we still don't know yet, and Kante can still be a massive part of that. So this is going to be interesting. Please let me know your opinions on this. Do you think that Real Madrid and Barcelona are going to go in seriously for Kante this summer? And do you think Chelsea will budge on this, or do you think that Chelsea will keep a hold of N'Golo Kante for another season? Next, I want to talk about some transfer news, and if this transfer was to come off, I would have proof in my mind that Frank Lampard watches my channel, because Andre Onana has been linked to Chelsea. L'Equipe are reporting that Chelsea have made preliminary contact with Ajax over signing goalkeeper Onana. Dutch side will allow him to leave for around 30 million. Now, if you guys watched my big transfer video that I made, who Chelsea should buy and sell this summer, if you haven't already, please go and watch that video, because I do mention Onana in that video as a really good replacement backup keeper for Chelsea, and I think he'd really offer some great competition to Kepa. I've seen some people doubting this, whether he's as good as Kepa. Chelsea are probably going to need to replace Willy Caballero. We need someone who's going to compete with Kepa, and I thought in my video it's a win-win situation, because if Onana, considering he's 24, comes in, competes with Kepa, and he takes Kepa's place because he's that good, it's a win situation for Chelsea. We've got a good keeper here. Or if not, and it sort of tests Kepa to get to his best and he becomes a brilliant keeper, that's another positive right there. and it increases competition in that area. It refreshes that area if Caballero is to leave. I just think it's a really good coup for Chelsea if we can get it. You know, that second place goalkeeper who probably in truth isn't going to play a lot during the season, but this could be a different case scenario if it does provide more competition for Chelsea, because I don't think Chelsea are going to sell Kepa this summer. The investment they've made on him only 2 seasons into his Chelsea career, I just can't see it happening. Chelsea letting a £72 million player who could turn out to be brilliant in years to come. That's a mistake Chelsea have made before, letting players go too early. So I don't feel that Chelsea are going to sell Kepa. I think this is probably one of the best backup keepers you can get on the market. How reliable the keep is, I think they're a bit hit and miss. I mean, they did report that David Luiz was about to leave Chelsea, and then that happened. So maybe this could be the case, and if it is, I think it'd be a brilliant signing for Chelsea to get in if Willy Caballero is to leave at the end of his contract. And lastly, just to touch on Phillipe Coutinho, his name once again popping up on the channel. His name isn't disappearing in terms of being reported to Chelsea. Apparently Coutinho wants Chelsea move. This is from Mundo Deportivo. I've heard conflicting things about how reliable this source is. It's interesting. If you guys haven't watched my discussion I did with Ms. Rahman yesterday on the channel, a long 45-minute discussion. If you haven't seen it, please go and watch it, because we talked about transfers and we talked about Phillipe Coutinho. And as you know, if you guys have been watching the channel, I've not been as positive about this move happening. It's more been the concern of, you know, youth development and also priority about other signings, because as I was talking about with Kante, I think midfield is a really stacked area, and sort of changed my mind a little bit on Coutinho. And I think that was an interesting argument he made, so please go and watch his argument, because he really made a good argument. It was more about linking it to Jadon Sancho, and if Chelsea aren't going to go for Jadon Sancho and Chelsea want to make a big move to add some flair, some world-class like marquee signing, and if it is going to be a loan move like Mateo Kovacic, it could work out wonderfully. Kovacic is a prime example of how that loan move worked out brilliantly for Chelsea, and now we've got one of our best players. You know, Mateo Kovacic has turned out to be Chelsea's best player this season. Hopefully, if Coutinho was to come in, could he provide that once again, get back to his best form, you know, and really transform Chelsea's creativity? That would be something incredible. Now, that would, I think, cause probably a couple players maybe to leave Chelsea, maybe in midfield. Maybe I'm looking at Ross Barkley potentially could make way for Phillipe Coutinho, but it would definitely bolster options for Frank Lampard, I'm sure. And as I say, the noise around Coutinho hasn't gone away. I always say this when I'm talking about any transfer. You can never truly believe or know who Chelsea are really going for. Sometimes a player can be linked for months, it never happens, but then a player you've never heard of, or a player you know of but hasn't been linked to Chelsea, suddenly we're about to sign him. Hakim Ziyech is the prime example of that. But once again, we're just going to have to wait and see if Coutinho gets any closer to signing for Chelsea this summer. So that is it for this edition of Let's Talk Chelsea. Let me know your opinions on everything I discussed in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Follow me on Twitter @SonOfChelsea, and I'll see you again.